Good evening, everyone. Today I'm reviewing Squirreled Away, a cozy little mix of 3D platforming and crafting by developer Far Seas. You might have seen it in a wholesome direct, or you might have seen me cover the demo in a past Next Fest video, but we've now got the full game here and ready to play and talk about, which I'm excited to do. As the title implies, you play a squirrel exploring a giant park which you can name, so of course I named it Phillips CDI Park. And there's not really much of a story here, you're just going around helping other squirrels, crafting all sorts of tools and gathering resources, as a squirrel does, and achieving enlightenment. You start off on a tutorial island getting to know the basics, as the turtle won't take you to the mainland until you help a few squirrels out. Naturally, these squirrels will also teach you about various game mechanics, and you'll be collecting twigs and rocks to smash together to form some basic axes. You might already be noticing it, but on the Steam Deck I'm using the TSR upscaler, and it's because the game just looks pretty awful without it. Sort of the opposite of the problem I had with Steel Seed, but the option to turn it off is available here at least. At worst, you'll see shimmering around the squirrel themselves, but the rest of the scenery is just sharper and blends better. You won't be getting great performance on the deck currently, it tops out at 30 frames per second and can drop even on low setting, so I just kept it at medium and it mostly stayed between 24 to 30. The developers do plan on getting verified status for the deck, so that hopefully means more performance updates on the way. For what it's worth though, the frame rate didn't really bother me that much, given that 3D platforming originated on hardware that didn't prioritize 60 frames per second. It's not necessarily a requirement for me. Being a squirrel, you can climb up any tree, and most of them will have sticks, resin, and nuts to grab, not sexual. But there's also a home tree that you can use to build the tree house of your dreams. This is also where workstations will go, like a loom, a saw cutter, and a mortar and pestle, because you'll need to craft planks and string for more advanced recipes. And of course, a bed for recovering your stamina, because much like in Stardew Valley, using your tools will slowly wear you down. The bed is a surefire way to bring you back up to full, but you can also eat food you find to give yourself a tiny bit of energy back. And there's also hearts? It's not something that comes up often, but there are a couple of small threats that can hurt you. One of them is this nasty bulldog that will chomp you up, and boy does he run fast. He can also smell you from a distance, so you have to be very careful if you're in his territory. That said, losing all your hearts sends you back to the closest sanctuary, so it's not really a big deal. And the dog only roams one part of one region. It's a minor hassle, but not one that will disrupt the cozy vibe. But I do think it's a little weird that you can't increase the amount of hearts you have in any way. See, the thing about those sanctuaries, there's one in every region, and they each have 6 golden acorns to find, which you can think of as the game's power stars. If you collect all of the golden acorns for a specific region, you'll increase your max stamina. And there are these caches that you can increase your maximum inventory size with if you can find them in the world and then bring them the specific ingredients they ask for. So it'd be nice if there was a way to increase your maximum hearts, because the dog's bite does sting for quite a bit of health. Let's backtrack a bit though. Whenever you meditate at a sanctuary, you'll learn new crafting recipes based on the new items you found. So a spring might unlock the spring shoots recipe, which will allow you to bounce as high as you fall. A very handy bit of movement tech which can allow you to get on top of pretty much anything. But how about those golden acorns? Many of them are just out in the world to find, sometimes in plain sight, sometimes up high, sometimes crammed into a hollowed out log, while others involve solving simple puzzles in the world, from timing challenges to digging it out of the ground to chasing a golden bird around. The sanctuaries give hints for where you can find each one, although a couple of names are fairly dubious, like one called Hidden in Bamboo that was just atop a regular tree. Like there was some bamboo around it, but not enough to qualify for that title. So I was just chopping down bamboo left and right trying to find it because I thought it would be in one of those stalks. I'll also add that golden acorns are not a quest reward, so all of those squirrels that you help often give you nothing in return for helping them. Aside from the first 2 islands, they're largely optional. There's a tiny little squirrel restaurant underneath a human restaurant with its own quest chain that you could completely miss, and I guess that's cool, but at the same time I do wish quests had more rewards. You might get a cooking recipe on occasion, but others are just for the satisfaction of reaching 100% or something. Well, Well, I'm not a 100%er by any stretch, but there is an ending if you collect every golden acorn, so it's worth seeking them out. As far as the size of the game, it's around 5 to 6 hours if you're exploring the world as well as getting all of the golden acorns. That might sound short, but I don't think the world is actually that small. The 30 golden acorns, likewise, might seem like a small number, but it makes sense for the size of each region. In fact, I'd say the regions are big enough that it's kind of annoying there's no map. Yeah, there are physical "you are here" maps in the world, but if a squirrel in this universe can make a fishing rod or a wing glider, then they can probably draw and hold on to a map. In fact, there are treasure maps that you come across in the world that point to a location where you'll find new decorative recipes. So I don't know, why not a world map? Perhaps even a fast travel back to your current home tree or sanctuary. It can be one way, so there's still a little friction and it doesn't disrupt the journey being more important than the destination. While I'm talking about the UI, I should also mention that you eventually get so many tools that cycling through them one at a time gets to be a bit tedious. The developers might want to consider adding a radial menu for quick access to the tool you want, because we're talking an axe, pickaxe, shovel, fishing rod, crowbar, stink bomb, and while you can craft storage chests in your home tree to keep excess ingredients, that storage won't be factored into any crafting workstations that you have. Again, I'm not for removing all friction, but these are just little things that might harsh the zen for some players. I talked about the upscaling earlier, but to branch out, no pun intended, to the art direction itself, at least on the Steam Deck, I'd say it looks mostly okay. It doesn't wow me, but it's nice and vibrant, and I'll concede that the pretty basic lighting is probably the result of playing on medium settings. Still, this isn't something I'd look at and say, now that's a game the Steam Deck's gonna struggle to run. I get why this isn't on the Switch 1 though, so if you're an original Switch owner, you might want to consider upgrading to a Switch 2 if a port ever gets announced. The music is pretty minimal, but in the vein of Animal Crossing, with some gentle notes and pauses. It fits with the tranquil meditative atmosphere of the game itself, but I don't think you'll be blasting it at a party. In fact, if you have a podcast you've been waiting to listen to, this game might be pretty ideal for putting it on, though I suspect the developers would rather you not, given the game's whole zen meditative atmosphere. So when all is said and done, Squirreled Away is a solid jack-of-all-trades, master-of-none kind of experience. You get some decent crafting, some decent resource gathering, some decent 3D platforming objectives, decent customization and decoration options, and decent tech progression. None of it is best in class, but the sum is definitely better than its parts. If you're looking for something to relax and unwind in, but don't want a towering 100-hour survival game, then Squirreled Away might make for a good, cozy couple of afternoons. I can't believe it, but we're nearly through this ridiculous marathon of game reviews. Next up will be The Abandoned Planet, a point-and-click adventure game that just got a Switch port. How does a point-and-click adventure handle on a game console? You'll just have to tune in later this week to find out. Then next week I'll be talking about Locomoto, a mixture of Animal Crossing and train conducting. So if you liked today's video, you'll definitely want to come back. The easiest way to find out when a new video is ready is to hit the subscribe button and then click on the bell to be notified. But if you have a spare $1 or $2 to throw around, you can check out my Patreon and get early access as well as exclusive videos and a potential spot in the credits. Special shout out to my indie darlings: Rob Scott, Tyler McBride, Thumpus, Nick Shalark, Tony Domenico, and Game Trekker. That's all for today, so until next time, you'll find me in another castle.